I'll be your polar bear keeper for this little impromptu session here. I'll start by introducing the three polar bears we have here at the Toronto Zoo. We have one male, his name's Inukshuk. He's the one that's going for that fish now. Right now he weighs about 900 pounds, maybe a little bit more than that.
Good.
We have two females who are sisters and a year older than Inukshuk. I believe the one up going after that fish is Nikita, and the one that's getting that fish in the water is Aurora. All our bears were originally orphaned in the wild, whether deliberately or accidentally. Something happened to their mothers, in which case they did not survive, and these guys were way too young at that point to be able to survive on their own, so they became the property of the Ministry of Natural Resources, who in turn gave them to us here at the Toronto Zoo, hopefully to become part of a captive breeding program sometime in the future. What I'm giving them for their snacks right now is just a few little capelin. They're just a small fish that we often use here for training these guys. It's something that won't fill them up too much, but is enough of a treat for them that we can get them to do certain behaviors we want them to learn.
Yes,
And some of the other things we feed them here at the Toronto Zoo include a dog chow, a wide variety of different fruits and vegetables, and the bulk of their diet is made up of what we call a carnivore mix, which is basically just meat with some different supplements in it that's specifically made up and geared towards the polar bear's dietary needs. Obviously, they're not going to be feeding on the same kind of things in the wild. These guys feed primarily on seals in the wild. Ring seals in particular are one of their favorites. And although polar bears are excellent swimmers, they don't swim nearly as well as seals do, so these guys have to adopt a few other strategies in order to catch their swiftly swimming prey. Most of their strategies involve ambush. They'll sometimes wait by seals' air holes and hope to ambush them when they come up for a breath of air. Seals will maintain an air hole in the sea ice, which they will occasionally come up for a breath or just haul themselves out on the ice for a snooze. And bears will use these as ambush sites to either catch them when they come up for a breath or try to catch them when they're sleeping on the ice. A lot of times they'll sneak up on the sleeping seals, staying low on their belly, relying on their white coats, and even using their paws to cover their dark nose and eyes to get close enough to the seals that they can make a quick charge and get them before they're able to wake up and disappear in their hole. Polar bears also use their keen sense of smell and hearing to locate seal mothers and pups that have made excavations under the snow. Seals will give birth in these little caves because when the pups first come out, they're not able to swim. So they spend the first little bit of their life on land in these caves, and the bears will try to protect them underneath the snow. And when they think they're right on top of the seal, they'll use their front paws to try to punch through the snow and grab the seal before it's able to escape. As far as their natural history goes, polar bears probably live 20 to 30 years or so in the wild. In captivity, they often live longer than that. That's probably mainly due to the fact that these are large solitary carnivores, which in the wild, as they get older, tend to slow down, become less efficient hunters. And because of that, once they slow down and can't catch enough seals to maintain their health and weight through the whole season, that's pretty much spells the end of it for polar bears. Here at the zoo, they get full-time veterinary care. They don't really have to work that hard for their food, and we're always going to make sure they're well fed. So a lot of times they'll hang around a bit longer in a captive setting. I think the longevity record in captivity is about 41 years or so. These guys reach sexual maturity at about 5 years of age or so. Our guys are all just a little bit above that, so they are mature. And we're hoping to have some successful breeding and cub rearing in the near future. Polar bears will typically pair up, although they are solo, pair up for a short time. Females are receptive, typically in the spring, anywhere from about March to May. The male will stay with the female as long as she's receptive, and they'll breed many times. And once the female is done, the male goes off on his own and doesn't really have anything to do with her or the rearing of the cubs after that. The females, oddly enough, don't become truly pregnant right away. They undergo what we call the implantation of the fertilized egg. It develops a little bit, doesn't actually implant in the uterine wall until the fall, maybe about September or so. And at that point, the true gestation period starts. It's about maybe a little over 2 months. And polar bear females that are ready to give birth will typically dig an excavation, a little hole, either in the earth or in the snow or ice, and they'll basically entomb themselves in that until they give birth, and for about maybe 4 months or so afterwards, they They typically have 2 cubs. They're only about a pound or 2 when they're born, so
Oh,
they're pretty
wow.
helpless. The mother just stays in that den and nurses them until they're about 4 months or so of age. At that point, they're old enough that they often make their first appearance outside the den, but still remain near the den for some time after that. They'll spend a total of about 2.5 years with the mother,
Those hands.
during which time they'll learn basically how to be a polar bear. After that point, they'll go off and live the typical solitary lifestyle of a polar bear. So these guys will typically only breed the females at maximum about every 3 years or so if they're successful in raising cubs each time. As far as the rest of the wild go, all of them seem to be directly or indirectly related to human activities. Probably increasing human populations in the Arctic regions are causing more bear-human conflicts, although there are some organizations that help to remove what they call problem bears and relocate them. Even they have what they call a 3-strike policy, and the bears eventually, if they continue to be a problem, have to be destroyed. That's one thing that could be limiting bear numbers. Also, increased human activities there may be causing more pollutants in the environment. Polar bears, being at the top of the food chain, tend to accumulate these toxins in their system, and that could also be affecting mortality as well as birth rate and birth success.
Where they go at night.
But probably the main threat that scientists are thinking now is that is causing the polar bears stress in their population levels is global warming. These guys seem to be, they're totally adapted to living on the sea ice for most of the year and catching their seals. And they rely on the seals that they catch over the winter and the blubber that they put on to carry them through the summer months when the sea ice is gone and they don't have any seals to hunt. They basically have very little to eat at that time. They're opportunistic. They'll take advantage of whatever they can find, but they really rely on the winter seal hunt to carry them through the year and keep them alive. So if these guys are having a shorter hunting season because of global warming and the lack of sea ice, then that's definitely going to affect polar bears. And the concern now for scientists is that they think that the global warming process is happening so quickly that these guys won't have enough time to adapt to learn how to change their habits to adapt and survive the global warming crisis here. So I guess the message to take home for all of us is anything that we can do in our daily lives to decrease or eliminate our production of greenhouse gases will at least hopefully go some way towards slowing the process and at least giving these guys a chance to adapt to the changing conditions in the Arctic. So that's it for their food. These guys are probably going to want to go in the house now. I can come around to the front if anyone has any questions, anything they want to know. I can probably hang around for a while and answer them. If not, I'd like to thank you for coming, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening here at the Toronto Zoo.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.